howdy, and nourishment. Sustaining bread, delicious, mouth-watering steak. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew as food. Alright, we're talking about food. And Skyrim. Food, Skyrim. Skyrim and food. Food in Skyrim. Yeah, that's probably the one. When the Dovahkiin gets home from a long day of adventuring in places like this, and this, and this, they're probably pretty hungry. Then in comes cooking, and recipes, and cooking recipes. And there are plenty to choose from. But just how tasty are these various meals we are serving the savior of Tamriel? Now, when I lick my computer monitor, my wife gives me a weird look. And when I smell the speakers, I can feel the wedding ring sliding off of her finger. So we are just gonna have to base the taste of these food off of how they look and the ingredients put in them. In comes Longbrow with his ranking of useless stuff in a decade-old game, so here we go. Skyrim Food Ranked Worst to Best, based on how tasty they look. Okay, these are purely visual. Now see, this feels weird. I don't know if I have any real notes. This is a first for me. Is this normal to feel empty? The only thing I can say is that this is my opinion, and the food I like is different from you. Like, there are people out there who actually like pineapple on pizza, my wife being one of them. That's why daddy sleeps on the couch, sweetie. Other than that, I'm not including horse or goat dishes because that feels wrong. I know goat is eaten regularly in certain countries, but where I live, it isn't served. So I just didn't know about that one. And I went back and forth on whether or not I should include mammoth, but then I decided that they are extinct and they aren't alive anymore, so who cares? And no raw ingredients or just like jar of milk. Stuff like that is just boring. Let's get started. But before we talk about food in video games, because that's apparently my life now, we need to talk about something else. You guessed it, your higher education. And that's where the sponsor of this video comes in, Southern New Hampshire University. I'm being serious, heck yeah, brother. SNHU is one of the largest accredited non-profit online degrees you can get in the country. There are over 200 degrees they offer to get you started in a field you love, or heck, even advance in a field that you already started in. That includes, of course, video game design. And something you may not know is that I actually have a degree in this myself. I am actually a professional 3D modeler and game developer for educational programs. That's my career and I got a degree for it. I would not have the career I currently have if I did not go to college for it. So I can personally tell you that going to college and learning this stuff is very essential for going farther or getting started in this field. SNHU can teach you to develop 2D and 3D assets, interface design, gameplay design for AI, and game physics. It's everything you need to get going in the industry that we love. You will also learn the most common programming languages such as C++ and Java. All the teachers are of course industry experts who can help you with anything you need to advance further. There are no set class times and your classes are also very flexible to fit your schedule. If you already have credits, fear not. Transfer 90 of them bad boys to your bachelor's degree or 12 to your master's. If you're ready to take your next step, then go to snhu.edu/longbrow, or you can even go down to my description and I have a link right then and there for you to click on. And again, thank you SNHU for sponsoring this video. Corker and Ash Yam Stew. Do you, my friend, want to eat mold disguised as a stew? Well, look no further than this is made with Corker and Ash yams. This is an ash yam. Morrowind considered it an ingredient, not a food. What changed? Standards? Corker, yeah. Great. Fruit from Treebeard's toes. Yeah, no. Potato bread. What is this? It's potato made of plastic. Trash. Cooked boar meat. Looks like Bethesda just ripped an asset from Fallout. Got some ghoul skin up in here. Looks bad. Mammoth cheese bowl. It's the disease of 1,000 nations in a bowl. Next. Cabbage soup. This looks like it's gonna turn me into a mutant. Just looks like something they served in retirement homes to people who aren't fully coherent. The ingredients are only cabbage and salt, meaning all this stuff is just huge chunks of cabbage. Long taffy treat. Makes me think of the things you pull off of those crappy cheap bologna. Ruins the entire concept of taffy. Baked potato. Looks like death. Probably has more disease than a medieval peasant. Next. Seared Slaughterfish. This resembles that baked potato. Just form it in the shape of a mechanical claw. Looks like it probably tastes like cardboard with pepper. Cooked beef. Now I know this is just beef and salt, but why does it look so dry? This looks like something the lunch lady horks onto a plate in those old cartoons. Like I could use this to stand down my porch. I love beef as much as the next cowboy accented person, but this kind of just looks gross. Garlic bread. Now. Garlic bread is life when it comes to food. It's my muse. But these things, look like maggots. No. Tomato soup. This looks like a bowl of ketchup, and I hate ketchup. Grilled leeks. It's just leeks thrown on a grill. I mean, it looks good because leeks are good, but it's just leeks. But it sure does beat those diseased, horrific depictions of cuisine earlier. Charred skeever meat. Ah, yes, disease-ridden, horrifying creatures of the swamps. That sounds like a delicious supper. It's also burnt, like this side. What happened? Elsewhere, fondue. Now, if you didn't know, fondue is a cheese sauce that is often used as a dip for other foods, which means yes, this is cheese, which sounds delicious. It's not a vast white void of nothingness that it looks like. And I do love hot cheese dips, bro. But so this is looking better and better. But the fondue has something special about it. It has moon sugar in it. Moon sugar. This isn't used for cakes or coffee. No, my friends, that's drugs. Meaning this is some crazy weird cheese. Apple cabbage stew. Now this looks like it could just be a very generic stew. Doesn't really have anything that feels like a hearty meal for a Viking warrior. But it does look warm and cozy. Not the biggest fan of cabbage, but in the stew it can hit hard, bro. And the sweetness of the apple probably tastes pretty good too. It's alright. Potato soup. This one is beyond disappointment. The only ingredients is potato and salt. That does not make an appetizing potato soup. I should know, it's one of my favorite dishes. Throw some butter, milk, green onions, pepper, and a little Tony's in there, and also throw in some broth, and then you have yourself a really good potato soup. Not this very sad, lonely bowl of depression. Honey nut treat. Sounds good. Doesn't clarify what it is, but makes me think of this thing from Ratatouille, and I've always wanted to devour that thing. Boiled cream treat. We can't make this thing. We don't know what's in it. This looks like maybe meat. What is this? Beef stew. Now I know what you're thinking. Why is this classic, delicious, comforting beef stew so low, you piece of... Well, I have my reasonings. On first glance, this looks perfect. A nice, cozy stew perfect for the land of Skyrim. But until we look at the ingredients, carrots, garlic, beef, and salt. Meaning... these aren't potatoes, and they don't look like carrots, meaning that the man threw in full cloves of garlic. That's the only thing it could be. That's psychotic. Grilled chicken breast. I want to make a good joke. I want to make a funny quip. I want to give you a reason to keep watching the video, but it's just grilled chicken. It looks like grilled chicken. Apple dumpling. Now I want to love this one more, but it just looks a little too, I don't know, plastic, a little fake. Now you may be thinking, Longbrow, it's a video game. It's pixels. But let me dream, darn it. Chicken and lavender dumplings look the same, by the way. Now this is a cabbage soup, bro. Cabbage potato soup, to be exact. This is what the beef stew could have been. Cabbage, leeks, potato, and salt. A great combination you got there. And these chunks are actually potatoes. Better than the Grinch's remains. Rabbit haunch. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't this just that start-out weapon from that one survival game? But surprisingly, no. It's actually rabbit meat. And it does look good. Cooked but not burnt. Rabbit is a very hard dish to do right though because it is such tough meat, but this looks pretty good. Clam chowder. Now I'm gonna have to bring in my wife to talk about this one because I hate clam chowder with a burning passion. So I'm gonna here she comes to talk about clam chowder.
Looks fine.
Pheasant roast. Now if you don't know, this is basically duck, and it's simply just a duck breast, and it's a good looking duck breast. Apple pie. It's just a tasty looking apple. Please keep watching. Mammoth steak. Now this isn't a steak. This is a full freaking roast, like the one Dewey destroyed.
I don't understand it! An entire roast? With your bare hands!
Jazbe crostata. Just a super simple, effective dessert. Throw berries and some crust and I'm happy. And this does that, so there's nothing to complain about. Salmon steak. Now that right there is how you cook a salmon. I don't like it raw, but this looks like it's been smoked. And if you've ever had smoked salmon, you know where I'm coming from. And at this very moment, I realize the rabbit hole that I've gone down for YouTube, talking about virtual salmon. Ah yes, the good old favorite vegetable soup. This has tomatoes, potatoes, leeks, and cabbage, which would make a killer soup. I personally prefer some sausage in my soup, but what can you do? Braided bread. Ah. Look me dead in the eye and tell me this doesn't make you want to devour the nearest piece of grain. Corker stew, an actually good looking stew with Corker, not... It has some garlic, lavender, Corker, and tomato. All around sounds delicious. And it's actually using Corker for something that isn't torture to the utmost degree. Corker loaf, you see cooked beef? You could have been good. You can be moist. You can avoid looking like a torture method. This just looks like a hearty, moist slab of meat, and I'm all here for it. It just looks delicious. I've never had walrus, and I don't plan to because I'm not a monster, but this is surely a Viking loaf. Doing this video sucks because I'm just thinking about all this food and it's making me more and more hungry, and I just want to go eat something. Now, I could go on and on about how delicious steamed crab's legs look, but instead, I'll just simply say that it's my wife's favorite dish on the entire planet. Here she is.
What are you doing with your life?
Venison chop. If you can't tell by my accent, deer is one of the most common things that I ate growing up, so I know some good venison. And boy oh howdy is this some good looking venison. Perfectly cooked, this bad boy is a deer steak. Take everything I said about the venison chop and just throw it in a stew with some potatoes and leeks. Bro, this is doing something to me. I'm about to take off somewhere, I don't know where. It's 11 p.m. What's open? Is it worth it? It's the only thing open. Sweet roll, baby, sweet roll, yeah, sweet roll. And that's the video coming at you from the emergency room. Apparently McDonald's burgers aren't supposed to glow like that. Thought it was a special. And before we end the video, I just want to again say thank you SNHU for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description to get started. Anyways, you made it this far, congratulations. I really appreciate it. Anyways, thanks guys, see ya.